It's now my pleasure to introduce head coach Urban Meyer, as well as players Cardale Jones and Tyvis Powell. Coach, when you're ready.
Well, thank you for being here, and on behalf of our coaching staff, administration, and most importantly, our players, I want to really thank the College Football Playoff, Mr. Hancock and the committee, and this is uncharted waters, a lot of skepticism, especially when you started thinking about how logistically you would turn this out. The hotel we stayed at, the city of Dallas, this has been, it's been perfect. And for a year one run at this, and it even worked out with our fans, and, I was very concerned about our players' families. I think that still needs to have some serious conversation with Dr. Emmert. I can't, the gratitude I have that people are really, really thinking and thinking about the right things. It's not always about the corporate America. It's not always about the money. It's about the guys to my left over here that put on an incredible show, and that was great for college football. And I think any conversations ever going to be made about playoffs, about this great game, the first thing needs to be the student athlete. And I feel that happening. I see that happening, and it's the right thing. I have an incredible athletic director that played college football, understands the players, and I think that's a big reason why our players play so hard, because they know that we respect what they do. We're very hard on them. We push them very much, but it's all because we love them and care about them, and we want what's best for them. And we work, as hard as we can for life after football, which is a big part as well. So, a great thanks to all the people involved. And with that, I'll certainly answer any questions.
Again, we'll open it up for questions. We've got some mic holders. Please wait to get the mic. Give us your name and affiliation. We'll get as many questions in as we can. We're going to start right down here to our right.
Rusty Miller, AP. Urban, I know you mentioned that there were a couple players who came to you, Taylor and Adolphus, who said that they were staying. Have you had any conversations with anybody about an early entry to the NFL draft? And do you anticipate that you might over the next couple of days, in particular Cardale?
Oh, I had breakfast with Cardale. We haven't. It's just a great conversation, but nothing about that. I'm sure there's a lot going on, and it's kind of cool to be sitting here using the word NFL next to Cardale's name. I will tell you this: he could play in the NFL. He certainly has a talent. Is he ready right now? That's a chat I guess we'll go have at some point. Probably not here in front of everybody. You might enjoy that, but this is why we do what we do, to see guys. A theme that we have around our facility: it's never too late to change. Some guys change when they're 50 years old. It's too late. Other guys change when they're going through the journey like we all did when we're 17 to 21 years old, 22 years old in his case. So very proud of him, but we have not had that conversation yet.
Okay, next question over here, again on our right.
Bill Rabinowitz, the Columbus Dispatch. Urban and Cardale and Tyvis, could you just talk about your emotions in the moment? What was last night like afterward as it sunk in?
Well, for me, it was like a dream come true. Just to see us going out there and sending the seniors out with their last victory, that's just the greatest feeling in the world. This whole season for me was dedicated to the seniors. They were great leaders, great captains, and it was just a overwhelming feeling just to know that they got their last victory and they're national champions.
Yeah, like Tyvis said, it was just a dream come true. And this feeling is unreal right now, because 3 or 4 months ago, everybody counted us out. They said we wouldn't be here at this point in our careers and this season. And the way that we responded to all that, it was just unbelievable.
We're going to stay over here on our right side.
Urban, Heather Dinich with ESPN.com. Without knowing exactly some of the future plans of your players, what's the best scouting report you can give on what your team will look like next year and what you think it might be capable of?
I think we'll be very good. I think we have to watch for, complacency in the program, and we're going to watch that very closely. We have a little bit of transition of coaching staff there. This is a very complicated machine, college football. When you start thinking about all the different hurdles that are along the journey. And so it's just, I have an incredible staff. My right-hand man is Mickey Marotti, and so we'll visit today at some point and start putting our calendar together and having conversation with players about futures. And it's a very complicated machine. The good thing about Ohio State right now, I don't feel the outside influence. I don't feel that's the one negative of college football right now, where you just start, either mentors or gurus or people start showing up. And, I've talked to Cardale. We actually talked about that. Cardale's brand right now has never been stronger. It might never be this strong again in his life. And there's a lot of uncles, aunts, and so-called uncles and aunts and third parties trying to get involved. And the negative is a lot of times when you're that young, that influences you. So I'm worried about that with our program. I'll watch that very closely. And I'm going to visit with each individual, because there's some very, very talented guys on our team right now, very talented. And the human element is very dangerous if those talented individuals open up to people that have their own, they have their own desires or their own, they're trying to gain something from it.
Stay over here on the right again.
Yeah, Tim May, Columbus Dispatch. Following up on that, Urban, how difficult is it in this day and age? Oh, I'm right here.
So you'll point to him for
Yeah.
Okay.
How difficult is it in this age to repeat, to do it again? I mean, because you've been through that a couple of times. I mean, you've got a young team. What's the biggest challenge?
These are tough questions, man. We just won a championship, and I don't know, Tim. I got a bunch of really good players. Love our coaching staff. The word repeat, we'll have that conversation. Certainly not today. It's about enjoying it. Elite warriors, which I consider these guys. These guys, I hope, could answer this question, because it's been driven into them for about a year. Elite warriors, when they accomplish their mission, they celebrate. The next thing they do is learn from it, and then the final thing is they look forward to the next mission, next assignment. And right now we're in the celebration phase. Eventually we're going to get from the learn from it phase, and then the next guys like this wait for the next mission. So that's the pattern we're going to have, and the repeat and those kind of things, that's certainly not in the conversation right now.
We're going to go back to the television platform to your left.
Coach Meyer, Greg Presto, USA Today Sports. Quick question for you. You've mentioned your players' potential for the NFL. Is there a time in the future, potentially down the road, where you think that's a challenge you might want to take on? And what would that take, and what would you think about it?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Players in the...
Would you in the future consider for yourself going to coach in the NFL?
Oh, myself? Not right now. Not right now. I've got a commitment to Ohio State and these players, and I love what I'm doing, and not right now.
Far left in the front.
Mark Tracy from the New York Times. Coach, last night you were speaking about Ezekiel, and you mentioned that he had a good family, and clearly you felt a connection with him. I was just wondering if you could talk briefly about how you came upon him, since he's not from Ohio, and I know he's bulked up a lot since high school, and if you foresaw that, and if this is what you were expecting when he signed on with you.
Great story. Stacy and Don, they've had Thanksgiving dinner at my house the last 2 years. They're incredible people. Don's my favorite. Stacy has moved up the chain a little bit. He was a guy, they're both Missouri grads, great school, and we almost walked away from that one. It's a great story where his dad got real involved. And his dad's issue is that he loves his son so much that he was right in the middle of it, to the point where it drove us nuts. And obviously we're glad he stuck her, that we did not walk away, because Zeke's a wonderful guy. He's got it all. He's got it all. And in his life, football won't be the most important thing as he continues to grow. He's going to be a great family man. I can see it in his eyes. Obviously, he's raised the right way. So that's a great story. We had high expectations for Zeke, because we had, he took him early, and there's other running backs that were thinking about wanting to get involved, and Zeke's dad was, you guys recruited another running back, and he was kind of making sure that he was the only running back we'd recruit. And just a great story. It's all good, though. At the end of the day, incredible people, incredible friends, and more importantly, incredible parents to a young man that's got a brilliant future.
I'm going to come back down here to your right in the front.
Ralph Russo, Associated Press. This is for Cardale. Most players who face some type of NFL decision weren't where you were a month and a half ago. How difficult does that make being put in this situation where you may have to consider jumping to the NFL? And how odd is it for you that you are facing a decision like this?
I mean, it's very odd, you know. I'm only starting 3 games in 3 years. And, you know, guys play their whole career to, you know, have that build up and have that motivation to play in the NFL. And in my personal opinion, that I'm not ready for that level yet. You know, I mean, this is, like Coach Meyer said, this is a conversation me and him will have later down the road. But, I mean, to me right now, it's far out.
We go right here in the very front middle.
Doug Lesmerises, Cleveland.com. Urban, you've been through this before. After you win a national championship, you've already been bringing great recruiting classes into Ohio State. What's it like now when you go out on the recruiting trail and you have a national championship ring with you?
Oh, the door's open. You move to the front of the line. You have to really work, though. You know, we go out, I believe, on Thursday recruiting, and I looked at one of our coaches, Kerry Combs, and I were sitting there, and I said, man, I can't wait to go out and recruit. You can't wait either. And I said, you can't recruit to this now. You're officially a bad recruiter. And not just because of the championship. There's just so much going on in our program right now on the positive side, and it's not theory, it's testimony. And the greatest testimony is right over here. And those are our biggest salesmen about not just football, about the whole life after football approach we take, the leadership training, all the cutting edge stuff that this program's taken on.
And for you and Cardale, the idea that you guys turned it over 4 times last night and you're here, how difficult is that to do what you guys did when you turn it over 4 times?
You should ask Tyvis that. You know, the way the defense was playing, you know, when we turned the ball over, it was never, I mean, of course we put them in some messed up situations. Of course we, you know, messed up our own line because they was doing a heck of a job all night. But, you know, the way the defense was playing, we didn't have a choice. We didn't have to hang our hats low on turnovers because we felt in our hearts that our defense, you know, will stop these guys. And forcing them to get field goals was considered a stop for us.
Take our next question from the far right over here in the middle.
Ivan Mazel, the ESPN.com. 2 things, Urban. One, your description of Zeke's recruiting both teams last night done a really good job of spreading nationally in their approach to recruiting. Is that something that's not going away, and if so, why? And the other question is, did you give any thought to taking a knee at the end of the game, and what made you decide not to?
First question, we certainly are going to recruit in the footprint of Ohio and do the very best we can. I think when you cherry pick is what we call it, you know, certainly we don't recruit St. Louis A to Z and saturate the area. Same with a lot of other areas. There's certain states that are just by quality and quantity that you go, the Texas, the Georgia, the Florida, the Jersey. Those are off the top of my head that we're going to saturate a little bit. But then we go cherry pick the best players at certain positions, and Ohio State's a national brand. And I think that's always been done there. And I don't think, of course, it's been a national brand and a national recruiting base, but we're always going to attack our local areas first. And I think you see that when you see a breakdown of the class, you'd like to have 50% or more from the state of Ohio or within the footprint. And then you're going to go cherry pick. You know, you're going to go find the best players like an Ezekiel Elliott that fits exactly what you want to do. He can catch, he can block, and obviously he can run. The second thing, you know, I didn't even think about taking a knee. I didn't. You know, I can't even tell you the situation. I know we got that might, you know, I'm trying to even visualize what happened. But we play to win, and we play to be aggressive in what we do. So I didn't hear it over the headsets, and I certainly didn't think about it at that time.
Right here in the very front row.
Urban, Kenny Road at WHBC Radio. In the 4 biggest bowl games for the Big Ten this year, Michigan State beat Baylor, Auburn beat Wisconsin, you beat Alabama and Oregon in back-to-back games. How important was that not only for Ohio State to get back to the top, but for the Big Ten?
Well, I think it's huge. I think football's cyclical, first of all. I think the Pac-12's got a great conference right now because we got to see them on the videotape getting ready for this game. I still think top to bottom, we have some work to do in our conference, but it's moving. I see, the running back, Indiana goes and beats Missouri, and they have a great coach and Kevin Wilson, some really good players. I see that program moving. You see Purdue made a great jump this year. But those are all the programs that historically, when the Big Ten was the best, those teams were all the 9-win, 10-win, and even, some more. So I see a lot of aggressive approaches, which is you have to be. I think the days are done when you sit back, and I see a lot of aggressive recruiting and some really good stuff going on in our conference. I'm a huge fan. When I was cheering like mad for Wisconsin because I just thought it legitimizes everything that these guys did. You've been told you've been bad for so long. At times, the psychology part of it takes over that you start believing you're not very good, and that's not true at all. That's the same thing with the quality of football. High school football players in the North and the Midwest, they're great. Is the quantity a little bit lesser? Then sure, the quantity is, but not the quality. The quality is outstanding, and that was. I think that was a testimony of what happened in that game, last few games.
We're going to stay over on the left, in the back a little bit.
Kirk Bowles from the Austin American-Statesman. Urban, there obviously are a lot of elements went into your victory last night, but did you think the biggest disparity between the two teams was y'all were more physical than they were?
The last part of that, we were what, more than they were?
More physical?
Oh, yeah, I think that's something our line got more physical and improved throughout the course of the year, and that's kind of who we are. Ohio State's always been, that's the style of program. It's always been who we are. We'll say, I hear people say we're a spread offense, but it's a line of scrimmage league, or it's we're a line of scrimmage. We always have been. And you win on the offensive line and defensive line. When we get on a plane first class, the quarterback doesn't sit up there. Who sits up there?
Offensive lineman.
The offensive lineman. Quarterbacks eat last. Quarterbacks, right? Or the receivers do. But the offensive line.
Receivers.
Well, the special teams guys in offensive line and defensive line are very well taken care of on our program because that's who's. You want to go lose a game, you get beat up front. So I think that our guys did a very good job against a team that we thought their style of defense and the two defensive ends and the nose guard were outstanding players. And we felt like that was going to be rugged, and it was rugged. But our guys really did a good job.
We have time for just a couple more. We'll start in the back here.
Yeah, Coach Clay Hall, ABC 6 in Columbus. Your first two national titles were won at Florida. This one was for, as you call it, the great state of Ohio. And reading the comments of your family saying this is something that you always wanted, does it mean more?
Oh, that's not fair because in 2006, that's still probably the most special because that was the first one. That was a group of kids, the Brandon Sallers of the world, the Dallas Bakers of the world that were forever attached. The second one was a great team, a team that was the best team in America, pretty much start to finish after the Ole Miss loss. And then this one was a team that kind of came out of nowhere. So to answer your question, to start comparing this one versus that one, that will never happen. Is there a little zest to it that you grew up in the great state of Ohio, that you see guys from your high school show up the night before at the game, and we talked about when we were Buckeye fans when we were in grade school, and to see your high school coaches and people you grew up with and your sisters who live in Ohio and went to school in Ohio, it's very special, very special.
Right down here in the very front.
Bob Hunter from Columbus Dispatch. Urban, I think we'd all agree that if Cardale comes back, you're well-stocked at quarterback. I'm just wondering, JT last night was talking about competition and saying he didn't think he thought all the quarterbacks would be back in, if anybody would transfer. I'm curious what your sense of that situation is, and I'm also curious for Cardale what the competition that JT was talking about. Are you guys like that, feel good about that? How do you think about that?
Well, I'm not ready to, at some point I think I'll be ready to comment on it and have that conversation. Well, right now it's not. I just, we're still reveling in the win, no sleep, and I want these players to really appreciate, because I am. That's something I've learned over my journey, is I'm going to enjoy this darn thing. And how do you do that? I enjoy being around Tyvis and Cardale and this group of players. At some point, there'll be some conversations, and I think you guys know by now we're pretty transparent about everything we do. At the appropriate time, we'll have those conversations.
Take our last question right back here in the middle.
Greg Logan of Newsday for Cardale and Tyvis. Can each of you describe the impact it makes on you when an Urban Meyer takes over a program like yours, imposes his structure, the leadership seminars, things like that, and how does it impact you, and how serious does the business of college football become?
Well, for me, Coach Meyer has a great history. Everybody knows that he's a great coach. But, coming in and learning the things that he taught about us just being selfless and, like, playing for each other, I mean, that's just something that I'm going to take for the rest of my life. Because when you play for somebody else, it's like you play even harder. And that's what I think helped this team get to where we at, because everybody stopped playing for selfish reasons, started playing for each other, and the leadership just took over, and this team just became unbelievable.
Yeah, the way that Coach Meyer motivates, teaches, and demand the best out of each player in different ways is unbelievable. He dealt with me and Tyvis in different ways. He gets the best out of us in different ways, and even in the same room as far as the quarterbacks. So the way that he demands and gets the best out of us is second to none, and that's why we sitting here today.
Great. We're going to do one more thing. We're going to have Coach stand up next to the trophy for a quick photo op, and then that will conclude today's press conference.
Can I do it with the players, or do I have to do it by myself?
First by yourself, and then we'll have the players join you. Thank you. Again, if we could just try to make sure everybody kind of stays down. Couple more seconds. Great. Thank you all very much.